thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time. It was wonderful for you to come on the show. Yeah, Rob.
The interview time. Okay. The Prince, the Sultan of Strategy, the Tip Master Supremo, the Generalissimo of disastrous finishes, but somehow still managing to win. I give you Mr. Jake Snowman Sanderson. How are you doing, Jake?
I'm very well, thank you, Rob. That was a great introduction. I have to say, you could have a career in UFC style announcing if it all goes wrong. I think that was pretty generous as well. Pretty generous, so I can't complain. But yeah, I'm very well, thanks. Like I say, a bit tired from the TTT, but I'm excited to be here. I'm a fan of the show, so yeah, really excited.
Well, I've been a big, as you obviously know, I've been a big fan of your YouTube channel for a long time. Has anyone commented more? But anyway, I've commented a lot, and I've watched 2 of your videos, and you've obviously got a really broad cycling knowledge. Not just in Zwift, like myself, who's just like in my garage on my computer. But so, what is your background in cycling?
Well, like a lot, I think a lot of people who got into Zwift, cycling through Zwift, I kind of started off trying to better myself. So I was a lot heavier than I am now. I was probably maybe 10 kilos, not quite that, a little bit less than that, heavier than I am now. I was a smoker, wasn't particularly fit. And like a lot of people, I hit 30 and kind of went, I'm not very young anymore, at least compared to, the real sprinters out there. So I kind of did in real life 100-mile ride, which was quite a transformative thing for me. So that was like a really cool thing because I trained for it. I fixed my lifestyle to a degree.
Were you in the cycling before that, or?
Not really. I did a couple of commutes to work, so that was kind of what I was used to doing. And I think I quit smoking maybe 6 weeks before that 100-mile ride and kind of started training really seriously for it. Lost a bit of weight. And kind of got addicted to the rush of that and how that feels. And from that, started doing more outside rides. And then when I hit 30, had that sort of minor, early midlife crisis. I decided that, I'm not getting any younger now and I'm not getting out on the road as much as I should be. So why not try and get myself a trainer and see how that works? And like a lot of people, I did that first Zwift ride and was instantly hooked, kind of chasing wheels. I think it was New York as well, actually, not the comp, but New York was my first ride. And just sort of chasing the wheels in a social ride environment was really, really cool. And I got dropped, obviously, in that first ride really, really badly. And I think it was a 1.5 ride. So kind of like the obsession then became, can I complete one of these rides hanging onto the pack? And from that, like a lot of people, it just grew and grew and grew. That then became, can I sweep these social rides? Then that became, can I get the sprint jersey on the social rides whilst we're doing it? And that it just kind of naturally evolved from there, really. And it was sort of through doing those sorts of different kinds of rides, I discovered that I really, really like sprinting. Probably because it's the only thing I was halfway good at, especially when I first started. And my kind of history when I was younger was playing football, rugby, doing 100-meter sprints, very sort of fast twitch kind of guy, very, very, very lazy. So I like to go fast, but for very short periods of time. And that kind of naturally transferred over to cycling. And
my playing squash might have helped, because that is like really short sprints. That's like boom, 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 boom.
Squash is, you've got to be super fit for that. You can't mess around. I think even when I was probably at my fittest when I was younger, I remember doing squash and going, this is some sort of torture. But anything like that, really, I didn't know it at the time, but that was the style of rider I was or sort of athlete I was a fast twitch athlete. When you're younger, you don't really understand that. And kind of getting into cycling and learning about power numbers and the different kinds of rider that you could be was quite exciting for me. Took me a while to sort of understand it, and then naturally made the connection that actually fast twitch is something that kind of follows you across all sports, really. And when I look back, I saw actually, that's something that I've kind of always done. And then from there, sort of started doing sprint lessons, sprint tips and meetups, and the snow team kind of naturally grew from that, really, when people started to get excited about it. Because it turns out not a lot of people on Zwift, which can sprint very well or don't know how to sprint very well.
You have got the best, bar none, Zwift tips video on the internet. I must have recommended like half the viewers that you've got, which is quite a lot. It's like, was it 10,000 views? I think I saw.
Something like that. Yeah, just under.
I just absolutely love it. Do you want to just talk about that video alone?
Yeah, so that video is, again, and being a lazy sprinter, I look for every hack I can try and find to maximize your power for minimizing your energy, right? So I was having a look at some online videos, and I think it was Trainer Road or NorCal Cycling, and they had a video about how to be explosive in sprinting. And I thought that was really, really interesting because it's something in Zwift that you just sort of naturally don't do because you're not out on the road. So I thought about putting this video together once I'd learned this secret tip, which obviously not a really secret. It's basically how you sprint, but it's easier to market it to people like that because it essentially is a hack that will gain you a couple of 100 watts. But it's a really easy thing, and it just involves sort of pulling the handlebars in a certain way. But it gains you probably 100, 200 watts pretty quickly. So yeah, that was a good one, and I've had a lot of good feedback from people that I was coaching through sprinting that they really liked that. So I thought it was a natural one to make a video on. But I didn't really think it through, Rob, because essentially I've taught all my competitors how to beat me in a sprint. So it wasn't the greatest idea in that sense, but it's helped a few people. So that's really.
And people were using my own tips against me in the recon that I did last week. We used it against me. I was like, damn it!
You have to get used to it now. If you've proved you know what you're doing.
But I can vouch. I mean, I can obviously vouch for your video because I've recommended so many people, but it is the way to go from being sort of mid-pack with occasional wins to being, a winner. That extra 100 watts is just the difference. And all it is just the way you hold the handlebars as much as anything. People who don't get in the drops, wow, what a name. People who don't get in the drops, you're just missing out on 3 watts. Yeah. And it's not just that. Watch the whole video, but that's half of it.
I was watched the video too, and I kind of thought I was doing that, but then when I saw Jake, you doing it, I thought, no, I don't do that. So, yeah, I can't wait to try the next race and see how that goes.
Well, we'll be expecting a couple of 100 extra watts, Nathan, in the finish. If not, we're going to be disappointed.
Well, don't look too carefully. That's all I ask.
And so you've in your YouTube videos, you've got like loads of stuff about Carapaz and Sagan, and you try to emulate them. So do you have a broad, do you watch loads of?
Yeah, very sad. So, which is definitely not uncool, sad thing for a 34-year-old man to do. But I still play Tour de France computer games. So I've got it on the PlayStation, and I also have Pro Cycling Manager. Which, if you follow Benji Narson on YouTube, you probably know Pro Cycling Manager, what it is. He does a lot of videos like that. So I really do enjoy the tactical side of it. I really get into that. And I've been watching the Tour de France for 10 years plus, religiously. So every time it comes out, I'm glued to it. And I watch pretty much all the pro racing. GCN Plus has been like a really good way to make cycling more accessible for the masses. And that's been great for me. So yeah, and things like Lanterne Rouge, watching those sorts of videos, really, really good. He does a great style of video. So yeah, I kind of got into tactics that way, and it's sort of what you can do on Zwift is essentially a video game as well. So it's very, very sad. But I was saying to my team, I made us on the game was then playing games, and then you can try some of those tactics in real life, can't you, and see if they work. So that's like the ultra level of sad. You get really, really far along, but. Yeah, so I'm pretty much an anorak when it comes to most things cycling these days.
Yeah, so it's got some great videos. You're on the hunt for 1,000, nearly there. Everyone, go and subscribe to Jake's channel, and then get your family to subscribe, then get them to make up false accounts, get them all to subscribe, dig up your grandmother, get her to subscribe, put a ring in Turner, obviously, and then whatever you do, you've got to get Jake over 1,000. It's a travesty.
If nothing else, you've got to save the other viewers, because I keep going on about it in the videos, and it's annoying me at this point. So I can only imagine how the viewers feel. So save them, save me, subscribe to In the Drops and me.
All the links to both of them will be in the description below. So scroll down, click on the link, go over to Jake's channel, and definitely hit that subscribe button, and also hit the notifications so you get notified of.
So somebody asking, Stuart, I think it is, asking about breaking your feet with the garage doors.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. So that was about 3 years ago. I it was just after I'd done the Uber pretzel, so the day after I'd done the Uber pretzel. I really regret that it couldn't have been the day before the Uber pretzel, all things considered. But I have a garage which sort of I let my family store some furniture in over winter, and it was the first time I'd opened the door to try and get my brother's bike out of there, and some furniture had shifted inside the door. So when I opened it, I couldn't see, but the furniture sort of dropped and smashed both my feet. So I broke both my feet, dislocated all my toes on my one foot, which is quite unfortunate, really. But it was actually quite a good thing, because that I was sort of a 4.0 rider on Zwift, sort of struggling to hit 4.0 for 20 minutes. Had that foot break, was off the bike for 6 weeks. It told me I wouldn't be walking for 2 months, and I was sort of cycling in about 5 weeks on the turbo trainer, really low resistance. But that break helped me come back as a much stronger rider. So we laugh about it now. And the other thing that was quite funny was I was wearing my pink dressing gown. There's nothing more manly than a pink dressing gown. And I just shaved my head for charity, which, if you can imagine, it's not it's not a great look. I don't look great with the shaved head anyway. And my next door neighbour ran outside thinking there'd been a car crash or something, hearing all this banging, and thought I was my girlfriend. So ran over to me. So I'm there on the floor, reeling around on the floor with these feet. Oh my God, no, it's fine. It's Jake. It's not my girlfriend. It's going to be okay. So it was a bit of a catastrophe all round, but it worked out in the end.
Okay, so as well as being an awesome racer, you also seem to specialise in 3 things: tactical maneuvers, we've already mentioned, thermonuclear attacks, and disaster-marred victories. In fact, disaster seems to follow you from what you've been saying. Is that a valid portrayal?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I can't really argue with you there. In terms of tactical masterclass, well, I already said I'm quite lazy, and so the tactics come in how you can maximise that laziness. So it works out. Like, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Bill Gates or somebody said, if you want a job simplified, put a really lazy person in charge of it, because they're going to find the easiest way to do it. And I kind of subscribe to that theory. So generally speaking, I'll try and find the laziest, most energy conservation kind of tactic. And then that factors into the one big attack, which is, the thermonuclear attack. Shout out to Lantern Rouge for the credit on that one.
But then somehow something goes wrong near the end. Or is that just on your best videos?
Pretty much every time, like we said, people like the pain and the suffering, don't they? No one wants to see the wins. So yeah, it's worked.
Things breaking and
it's the latest one where I smashed the handlebars. Actually, Zwift Insider have just picked that one up and put it on their top 5 videos. So that was really cool. Shout out to Zwift Insider for always supporting small content creators. But the people like the angry ones, don't they? So I can't complain too much, I guess. As infuriating as it is in the moment, as you know, not to get the win.
And who's this pro racer that you've been hooking up with? Kjell? Is it Kjell Power?
Kjell Power, yes. So that one came about from I proposed a video idea. So I had an idea for a video after watching some GCN style stuff over Christmas, of trying to come up with some new ideas. Zwift videos are very methodical and very sort of boring, aren't they, by the numbers? So the idea was to try and come up with something a bit different. And I thought, wouldn't it be really cool to see how good some technical issues. Wouldn't it be really cool to see how good a pro racer is and how much better they are than the rest of us? So I reached out to a fellow YouTuber, not today, Pagacha, Ollie Moore, really great guy, really talented YouTuber and racer. And he happened to know Kjell Power already from an event that he'd been on, and he reached out to Kjell and managed to get him to agree to race us. He was a super nice guy, really, really strong rider, as you saw when he managed to get 5th at the Esports Worlds a month or 2 after our challenge. So to be able to get that sort of a result, he's obviously a super, super strong rider. He was a really, really nice guy and really kind of open to doing that challenge with us. So yeah, it was kind of my idea, and Ollie put the dots together with the connections. But it was an eye-opener just how strong they are. So I think I managed to hold his wheel for 3 minutes or something like that. But it's I literally had to get off the bike and have a lie down afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't put it together. It was sort of very GCN style, wasn't it? They do that. Sort of
I'll give them the credit. I did rip them off a little bit for that one. But that's just a credit, because I think they do really cool video ideas. They're good at pushing the envelope there.
Okay, we've got to start wrapping up. But 2 questions. One is your teammates. when I was trying to get in contact with you, described you as one of the nicest people in the world, which I can attest to, but also utterly mental. How did they get this impression?
Probably by talking to me. I think that's fine. I can't really dispute that. I think, as
a random style thing, or just
you've got to be a bit crazy to run a Zwift racing team, haven't you?
Yeah, I suppose so. And they also said the question I should ask you is, what are your feelings towards insects?
Towards insects, well, this is debatable. I'm not particularly strong, so there've been some occasions where I've been on the trainer and attacked by a wasp or other flying insects and happened to, throw a bit of a hissy fit. Not particularly great. And also there's a long running joke where we did a sportif where I just ordered a latte on the break. We'd had a break and I'd ordered a latte and a massive daddy long legs just flew and landed straight in the drink. And I wouldn't drink it, and I got absolutely ripped endlessly for that.
Oh, thanks, Jake. Have you got any more questions, gents?
Yeah, no, I had one question for Jake, and about the YouTubing. So, what's the biggest thing you've learned or been surprised by after getting into YouTubing?
Good question. How fickle the algorithm is, which you guys probably understand as well, is I kind of was under the impression that I thought if you make a good video, it's going to do well. Yeah. And some of, in my opinion, my best videos have done the worst, and some of my worst videos have done the best. And I think it's kind of an eye-opener when you think you're going to make it big off one video, and you kind of think actually it's going to take about 2,000 videos to get to that point. Yeah. So kind of the grind was more than I expected, how much work it takes. And that goes to all the YouTube content creators. So, Rob, Ollie Moore, Cadman, Eric Barfell, everybody works so hard to put that content out. So yeah, that was probably the biggest eye-opener, I think.
You've just got to enjoy doing it, haven't you? Otherwise, it's just pointless.
None of us are going to get, and I hate to break this to you, Rob, but none of us are going to get rich and famous making it. So yeah, you've got to do it because you love it.
But now that's where you got to start a podcast. That's my thinking.
Oh yeah, I think you're onto a winner.
And any big corporate advertisers yet, Nathan?
Well, not just yet, but we're getting there. It's only episode number 4. We've got a few more to go. And one of the questions I had was, so about your channel, where do you see it going? What's the vision you have for it?
Good question again. Yeah, I'd like to sort of branch out a little bit. I think the Zwift recaps are really cool, the race recaps, but it can be quite formulaic, and there's only so many things you can say if you're doing a couple of those videos a week. So I'd like to kind of branch out, do some more challenges. One thing I was looking at was doing some sort of podcast style stuff, but having been a guest on this, I don't think I'd be able to do it any better than this. So I might just kind of leave that to the pros. But yeah, I think it's kind of about trying to grow the channel and the brand as much as possible, and try and make good content for people. And like we say, as long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing.
That's it. As long as you're having fun. Don't take it too seriously, I guess.